The first thing we ever talk to them about is where do you want to go with your business? I mean, there's a new meaningful release every year. If you're not having that conversation, you're going to miss things.
Lander, it's nice having you here today. Finally, nice to meet you in person. Tell us a little bit about your role at Novobi and what Novobi offers.
Absolutely. So I'm the chief operating officer for Novobi. So that kind of puts me over all of our delivery operations and sales operations. I've been with the company for about 3 years now. And Novobi is a kind of soup to nuts partner integrator for Odoo. We're a gold partner, and we've been integrating Odoo for about 10 years now. Did our first implementation in 2014, and have been growing along with the momentum of Odoo over the last 5 years or so.
That's awesome. Well, it's great that you're able to be at Novobi, and I love hearing how partners have success year over year.
Yeah.
10 years, that's quite the accomplishment.
Yeah, excited to be here. Excited for all the excitement around Odoo and the continued growth. It's awesome.
Yeah. No, I mean the keynote this morning was great. Lots of good features coming out, particularly around the AI space.
Yeah.
Which I hear that Novobi does a little bit in that space as well.
We do, and actually, we have a talk on Friday specifically about how we've integrated AI solutions into some of our Odoo implementations for our clients, helping them, scale their operations and reduce kind of overhead significantly. One of our clients is a field service operation client, actually in the kind of home management, pool management space, and they have used artificial intelligence to manage quality control in a way that they weren't able to do, just with human-powered tools. So that's been awesome for us. And Lee Liu, our director of architecture, is going to talk about that tomorrow.
Oh, that's awesome to hear. And we do hear a lot of customers asking about AI features. It's obviously all the rage in business software, consumer software. So it's great that you guys were kind of leading that charge there.
Yeah.
I would say maybe even a little bit before Odoo, which is great. That's how our partnership program works.
Absolutely.
Where we're able to give you those features. So are there any specific projects that you might want to share with us today sort of around that?
Yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, we have a number of really interesting projects at all times, really. One that's pretty cool that we just went live with last week is for a company called Empire Imports. And it was a very involved project with very sophisticated warehousing operations, distribution operations, and e-commerce operations. So we went to their site, it kind of understood a very detailed level of what they needed in terms of kind of reaching their strategy for where they want to go over the next 5 years. And we're able to implement and customize Odoo to really set that platform for them for growth. We did some pretty interesting middleware integrations to their e-commerce platforms so that they can scale their front end, their customer-facing growth engine, and also distribution and fulfillment integrations for them, because they have such a complex network of distribution, both inbound and outbound. So really cool project and some really complex environments that we just went live with last week.
Wow, that's an amazing story, and I'm sure there's a lot of efficiencies coming in there. Sounds like they're on track to get a good return on that investment.
100%. They're super happy with us, and we expect that they'll continue to kind of build on top of Odoo as their operational backbone well into the future.
That's awesome, and hopefully that fits in with your long-term strategy. And talking a little bit about strategy, being on the strategic team, how has becoming an Odoo partner really fit with Novobi's business strategy?
100%. So, for us, the way we kind of look at ourselves, and one of the things that we feel is differentiated is that we partner with our clients for long-term strategy and long-term growth. We really want to be the partner that helps our clients get to where they want to go from a business growth and strategy standpoint. And we see Odoo as sort of the operating system to get clients to that point, right? So when we go in with a client, we're the first thing we ever talk to them about is where do you want to go with your business, right? We're not talking features, we're not talking systems, we're talking about the business and what's important to them. And also who's in the business that needs to be able to use Odoo and how we're going to deliver it to the humans on the ground. So that's the first thing we ever talk about with any client. And that really helps us set the stage for, okay, now that we know the priorities, the strategy, the vision for the business, how do we organize ourselves around what are the actual systems and functions that we need to put into place to best optimize for this company's long-term vision?
No, that's great to hear. And I think a lot of people, some partners might get caught up on those specific features. What development do you need?
Yeah.
But I think being able to provide that consultant approach to really understand the business deeply, I think that brings a lot of value to the conversation and really probably streamlines the implementation, I'm sure.
Yeah, 100%. I think if you're not having that conversation, especially as Odoo kind of grows up in the ecosystem and starts serving higher, value clients and more complex clients, you're going to miss things, right? You're going to misprioritize things or not address certain key user groups. And then you're kind of far down the line, you've spent a lot of money, a lot of time, and you realize too late that you haven't accounted for something that's really important to your client's business. So that's why we always start with that foundation of kind of collaborative strategy.
That's great to hear. One thing that I'm always curious about, you've had such a long relationship with Odoo. What specifically has kept you as a partner for so long? Because it sounds like you must be happy if you've been with us for over 10 years
Yeah.
now.
Yeah, I mean, there's a number of things. I mean, the Odoo team is awesome, right? We have an amazing partner manager, Miguel, and we like interacting. But really, I think what I talk to a lot of people in the ecosystem about is that the Odoo product itself and platform is awesome, and the speed at which it's innovated and developed is really fast compared to everything else in the industry. I mean, there's a new meaningful release every year. That's not typical, right? In terms of very large, complex systems like an ERP. So we are able to kind of message that to our clients that, look, you're kind of going to be on the cutting edge of a lot of things. And I think the example you gave earlier around AI is an example of that, right? It's going to take a lot longer for other platforms to start meaningfully integrating AI into their system. And also, the fact that Odoo is open source allows us to do a lot of kind of innovation ahead of even where Odoo is from a product development standpoint. So, for example, the AI example I gave you earlier, we wouldn't have been able to do that on other platforms because they're not going to give us access to directly integrate AI tools into their code base.
Yeah, it sounds like the fact that we're open source is actually really a strong suit, and I think people are starting to realize outside of tech how much value open source brings to the conversation because it offers a lot of flexibility,
Yeah.
and the ability to really plan and maybe even if Odoo isn't necessarily moving on a specific feature or functionality, we have the partner network to back us up and provide that to our customers so that they have the
Yeah.
best possible experience.
Definitely. And I think the partner network is super important. It's really important also when you have complex environments and open source that you know where the fine balance is between customization and kind of using what's available out of the box with Odoo. Obviously, you can go crazy with customizations too, and that's not what we recommend. But when there is a need for a very specific solution to a very specific business problem, Odoo gives us the platform to be able to do that for our clients, which is awesome.
No, that's great, and I think you touched on that key point there is that while we can do development, I think understanding how to leverage the out of box functionality correctly, where a customer might thinking it's going to take 200-300 hours to get to where they need. When come to find out, there's that baseline functionality that you can leverage,
Yeah,
and really cut down on that development. And it sounds
definitely.
like you guys are kind of aligned in that strategy there.
Yep.
Awesome. Now, like to back up and talk a little bit, about partner services. What has your experience been, utilizing those services for Novobi? Because I'm sure you've been growing a lot, and probably need some help there with training as well. So, how have you been able to really leverage the services that we offer for partners?
Yeah, I mean, so first and foremost, it starts with our partner manager. We bring him into every deal as soon as there's a kind of meaningful traction, or he brings us into deals, and it really feels like a collaborative strategy on how we're going to best serve our client, and then grow the client from there. We're also finding new ways to kind of leverage the Odoo team in other aspects too. So like our customer success managers, and Odoo is doing things like having strategic customer success managers now, which we find really valuable because there's certain accounts that need a different touch, right? So I've been discussing with Fidel on some of our collaborative accounts, for example, on how do we look into the future on these large, meaningful accounts and kind of build on what we've already implemented to continue to add value both through the software and through the services.
100%. And I think you touched on one of my favorite points is, everyone knows our product is always growing, becoming more feature rich. But I think what people, sometimes don't stop and realize that the company and the services that we're offering are growing as well. You mentioned Fidel recently took that position, as a key account manager. And it does sound like, that extra level of support, for those key customers is really helping out there, drive
Definitely. And I think it's clear that Odoo is investing in that as well, which we love, because the more that we can kind of provide that united front on collaborating on strategy and growth, the better it's going to be for our end clients together.
100%. And I think as we start, taking on some of those larger customers that have been reaching out, this last year or so, I think that's going to be really key in our growth in those sectors and really moving Odoo up not only as an SMB software, but truly an enterprise level solution, that any company can leverage.
Yeah, we're there for it.
Awesome.
We're here for that growth for sure.
Well, we're happy to have you there. We're happy to have you at Odoo Connect, and I appreciate you sitting down with me today. And looking forward to having a nice rest of our convention here, and maybe seeing you on the floor.
Yeah, absolutely. Excited to be here. Novobi, we're here. We're going to have a good time, and continue to see kind of how we can collaborate with Odoo and grow. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, that's great. Well, thank you very much, Lander. Appreciate your time.
Yeah.